do you actually enjoy traveling or are you just doing it for the gram? Today, I want to discuss what I believe is performative traveling, which is ever so popular, especially in my age range of millennials, Gen Z. And with all things on my podcast, this is literally just my opinion. If it does not apply to you, do not get offended. It's literally just my opinion. That's it. And I have to say that because certain topics, especially I find with traveling, if you speak out about traveling and not being that keen on traveling, oh my gosh, the brigade just comes down on you. People are really defensive about it. I've come up with this topic just because it's a mix of people that I know, things I've seen on social media, in the news, etc. But it really feels like a lot of people, at least from what I've seen, are traveling for the sake of it and for Instagram rather than loving traveling. And for me, I just don't get that because it's not like traveling is a super cheap, easy thing to do. So I don't understand putting a load of money into something that you don't necessarily enjoy, but you want to seem like to the masses and other people that you're enjoying it. Because one thing I find bizarre with people I know and people I've known is they'll go traveling, they come back, I ask them, oh, how was it? What was it like? And I get, it was okay. It was all right. It was nice. And I'm like, do you not want to elaborate? Like, you were talking this up. This is the trip of a lifetime. You spent a lot of money on it. On Instagram, it looked like you were having the best freaking time of your life. And now I just get like a one sentence and move on. You don't want to tell me what you did, what sites you visited, what food you ate. It was literally just okay. And I'd understand if that was maybe it happened once. Some people do go to countries and end up realizing, you know what, I don't like this. But when you're traveling multiple times a year on a regular basis and that's your answer for things, that's when I start to think, why are you actually doing this? Who's making you do this? Like, if you don't enjoy it, it is okay not to travel, despite what Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I mean, I don't even know who uses that, but whatever tells you. I don't get it. Something I want to ask is if you do enjoy traveling so much and it is one of your great passions, why do you only take pictures of yourself and not the monuments? If it is about seeing another country, another culture, and it's literally just pictures. I mean, yeah, people are free to do what they want, but your travel feed is literally just pictures of yourself posing with different backgrounds or whatever. That's what to me as well feels really performative. It's fine to love on yourself and in a photo dump you will have pictures of yourself, but if it's all pictures of yourself, then I'm like, well, you could have taken those at home. Like, I don't even know what country you're in because I can't even see from your pictures. So again, you're doing it for the gram. Another one is more for the travelers who say they're doing it for the culture stuff and they go to, the areas of interest, the museums, the monuments, so on and so forth. Why can't you tell me anything about what you learnt at this museum or what you learnt about these monuments? Because you've gone there to tick off a box, take the picture of Instagram, you've left. You haven't even read the text. You haven't spoken to the tour guide or whatever. Why can't you tell me anything about any of these monuments? Again, that's performative. It's just ticking off a checklist. And if that's what you want to do, that's your prerogative, fine. It's more the ones that act like they're so worldly and so enlightened and just so above us because they've been to this country, but you went there and you took a picture and you buggered off. Okay. Also, I ask performative travellers, the destinations that you pick, have you picked that because you're genuinely interested in going there and seeing that country, or are you going there because everyone's going there? Because what I notice at the moment, everyone seems to be going to Thailand. Thailand is the new thing. Everybody's going to Thailand. Not as much Dubai. Before it was Dubai. I've only known a few people last year that have gone there. but it seems to be Thailand, Bali. That's been that way for years, to be fair, but Bali is still a popular one. And then I asked, "Oh, why are you going there? Or did you have a great time there?" Like, it was okay. And they again can't tell me anything really about the country or what they did there. But then again, on Instagram, it looks like they've had the best holiday of their lives. And again, are going to be some travelers that just go wherever's cheapest or will follow trends, goes where's popular. But again, the ones that think they are, hot stuff because they travel so much. Why are you going there? I thought there would be a bit more thought that went into it, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. That's fine. One thing that makes me super roll my eyes are the ones that have the checklist and can't wait to tell you how many countries they visited. Again, just to not be able to really tell me anything about those countries. Oh, I've been to 30 countries. I've been here, here, here. Okay, great. Tell me about them. Cricket. Or, it was okay. This was nice. This was pretty. Why are you showing off? There's literally nothing to show off about. Why are you showing off? Great. So imagine you visit every country in the world. You visit lots of countries, but you can't tell me anything about it. What do you want me to do with that information? Do you want me to applaud you because you've got so much money and you've visited so many other places? No, I would be genuinely interested if you could actually tell me the things you loved, the things that inspired you when you went to those countries, even like show me gorgeous pictures. I'm not hating on travel as a whole, but it's the ones that try and show off, but there's no substance underneath. And it just seems to be so common in my age range. I just find it really irritating. I'd rather you just don't tell me at all, rather than try and flex on me and show off, but then have no substance to back it up. Like, I find it more interesting. Say if like I knew someone who's we're in the UK, they went camping in an area in the UK for a couple of days and they told me, "Oh yeah, we went to this mountain, we saw this happen." I'd find that more exciting than someone who's gone to an exotic country and then took pictures of themselves and just said, "Oh, it was really nice." I don't care. You can go to the most fancy country, fancy location. I don't care if you're not going to share what you loved about that experience. Because again, then it's just bragging for the sake of it. I genuinely love hearing when people are truly passionate about travel and really enjoy it. And even the most like kind of small looked down upon travel I find interesting. For me, you don't need to go to a fancy or expensive or popular country for me to be interested in hearing your traveling journey. Some common arguments that tend to come up with this sort of topic, especially for people like me that don't really understand the point of view of performative travelers, is they say, "Oh, I travel to see other cultures, and because of that, they're so much more enlightened and educated than me." Which is fine if you actually are, but how come you're traveling to see other cultures and you're not engaging with it? So you're going to the tourist spots, yeah, but are you speaking to the locals that aren't just staff members at the hotel? Are you going to like local places that are not just trending on Instagram? And again, if you're going to learn about other cultures, tell me about it. Why can't you tell me about that culture? Even just one thing, one fact. If you are going for the culture, why can't you tell me anything about that? Another one is to see the world around you. And again, that can be valid. But then if you're using that argument and you're going to Thailand or Dubai to do stuff you do at home, you're going there and you're eating McDonald's and you're staying in a hotel and going to a shopping mall. How is that seeing the world, and how does that make you any cultured or any more better than me? And again, if you are, there are some people that like to go on holiday and they like to just sit in the resort, stuff like that. That's valid, but they're not so much the ones I'm talking about. The performative travelers I'm talking about are the ones that are just very airy fairy, and again, think because they get on a plane or a train or whatever that they are so much better and more enlightened than you. But again, you're going abroad and you're doing the exact same things you do back at home. Is that really seeing the world, or is it just flexing? And I think a large amount of people do go traveling to escape their life. And again, I just don't see that being a smart thing, because at the end of the day, you can't outrun your life unless you're mega rich and you can pretty much travel every day, all year. At the end of the day, that holiday is going to end and you're still going to have to come back to your life and then be really depressed about your life. And then you're only living literally for your next flight. And I just don't think that is a way to live. And I think that's a really dangerous trap to get into. Personally, I would much rather invest more into my personal life so that I don't feel the need to escape it, rather than spending a load of money, whether it's a couple times a year or a couple times a month, whatever, escaping and traveling because I can't cope with the daily reality of my life. There's a couple of Reddit posts I want to read out, and they're from the unpopular opinion subreddit. And this one says, "Don't get me wrong, traveling is amazing. Highly recommend everyone to do it when they can, but do it because you want to see the rest of the world, not so you can come back and just brag to others. Like so many other things, traveling seems like it's been weaponized as a flex and a requirement for people to show they live some high quality of life when they're no better than the rest of us. It's such an incredible experience that now it just seems like it's becoming another trend." And the comments of this post were very, very defensive, which is standard for Reddit, to be honest, and just the usual, "Oh, just say you're a loser because you can't afford to travel, da, da, da." And people weren't really making good counter arguments, in my opinion, because again, when I have an opinion, I don't need to feel everyone agrees with me or if it's right. I love seeing like the opposite. I love seeing people, offer up a different perspective. But then when you just resort to being defensive and insults, it kind of makes me think, well, then it struck a nerve then, what this person said, because you don't have a really good rebuttal. Anyway, I totally agree with this post. And if you want to flex, that's fine. That is fine to flex and brag, but admit it. Don't try and act humble and this and that. If you're just saying, "Yeah, I'm showing off," I would at least respect that more than someone who brags and flex and travels to show off, but then tries to deny it. And if that's your prerogative, that's what you want to do, that's what you want to get out of traveling, fine, but just be honest about it, especially when people confront you about it. And I do agree with the part where it says like a requirement for people to show they live some high quality of life. But I've seen quite commonly on social media people say on dating apps, all that people put on their profiles is, "I love to travel." And it seems like they literally will only talk to other people that travel, but then people say when you meet them, they're literally just an empty vessel. Apart from traveling, there is nothing else to them. And that would be my personal nightmare, like to be friends with, to have a relationship with. I just was like, apart from, okay, you're happy and you talk about traveling, but what about the rest of the year when you have a normal life? Like, what are you doing? What makes you happy? What inspires you and lights you up? If it's just travel, I think that's a little bit sad. We all have our interests and our hobbies and inspirations, but I think it helps to have multiple, especially when it's something, again, if you're not rich, you're not going to be able to travel that often. So if that's the only thing about you, are you just silent for the rest of the year? Like, what goes on? And I've even noticed it just with making friends as well. So I can't speak for dating, but I moved to a new city 2 years ago. So and I didn't know anyone here. So I've been making new friends and connections. And in the age range I'm in, the 20s to 30s, it does seem like everyone says, "Yeah, I love to travel." And they're not so much interested in someone that doesn't travel, which is fine. But again, if you say you love to travel and you only want to be around other people than travel, but you can't say nothing about that travel, how does that make sense? And also me, if I do meet someone and they're really, really like crazy about travel, I just know it's probably not going to work long term, because there's just going to be such a disconnect from that. Because again, if that is their main interest, what am I going to talk to them about? Like, especially if you're not interested in, I don't know, the news, books, music, TV, whatever, there's nothing for us to have in common. If it's just travel, I I'm not interested in that and I can't relate to that, so it's just not going to work. But it just seems so common in my age range. I can't speak for older. If anyone's listening to this and you're like 40s, 50s, 60s or older, I would love to hear your perspective. Is this so much of a thing in your age range? Because it seems to be the craze for 20 to 30-year-olds, at least at the moment. Another Reddit post on the unpopular opinion subreddit says, traveling isn't as transformative of an experience as people make it out to be. People act like traveling somehow makes them better because they have experienced more. But 9 out of 10 times I've traveled with people, we're just spending money to be tourists somewhere in the world. It's different if you're roughing it and really getting to know people and learning the native language, immersing yourself in a new culture and exposing yourself to culture shock. But most times this isn't what people are doing when they're traveling. They go to resorts and tourist traps and places that for sure speak English and get effed up on a beach somewhere. Then they have the gall to come home acting like a whole new sophisticated person. It's horse shite. Traveling isn't that big a deal. It's literally just fun and leisure. And then one of the comments in that post says, this is what gets me with the whole if you haven't travelled, you are ignorant and closed minded crowd. Not just seeing the world can be enlightening crowd, but the specific portion that has to put down people who don't travel. People who are interested in other cultures and open minded and want to learn will find a way to do so, even if they don't travel. Books, movies, etc., all can be utilised to help learn about that culture. With the internet, those people are now more able to find people from that specific culture online to actually talk to. Yes, the ones who like to and can travel will also go to that place and probably learn a bit more than the one who doesn't like to travel or can't travel, but the one who can't travel will still find a way to learn. And I feel that is so spot on. It really, I feel like it is just used, again, not everyone, but especially the ones on social media, because at the end of the day, social media pretty much is for bragging now. That's what it's turned into. But it's used to basically be like, I'm better than you because I've been on a plane and been to this country. And especially noticed that with Americans, because I didn't know a lot of Americans don't have passports. So I've seen there's a lot of almost classism between like Americans bragging that they have passports and the ones that don't, which I think is just a bit silly. But I also, yeah, I really agree with the comment saying that people interested in other cultures, the only way they can learn about that is through traveling. Again, especially with all the resources we have now, the internet, books, even like say in the UK, living in a diverse city. I'm from London, there's so many different cultures there. You can learn about culture without going to the country. And just because I'm interested in a culture, it doesn't necessarily mean I want to go to that country. So, quite a few of my friends and even family members are from different countries. And I love just getting that first hand knowledge, asking them, what is it like back home? What traditions do you have? I love talking about like, all the different foods. I love learning about the foods because you can go there and learn about some parts of the culture, but say if you go to, I don't know, Paris, you're going to have some French food, but it's not going to be maybe the same food they have in the different part of France and so on and so forth. So there are many different ways you can pick up and learn about other cultures that aren't just travel. So maybe, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, the medieval era, yes, people who didn't travel probably didn't know much about the world outside of their town, but I just don't think that's applicable anymore, to be honest. That you have to get on a flight or go abroad to learn about other cultures. Maybe if you're in the middle of nowhere in a village where there's like 10 residents and everyone's from the same cultural background, yes, maybe then learning firsthand about another culture is going to be difficult. But especially if you are living in a multicultural place, I just don't feel like I know about Lithuanian culture or parts of it, but I've never been to Lithuania. Is that to say someone who's got on a flight to Lithuania has more valid knowledge than me? No, it's just a different type, or it may even be the same type. But I feel like that whole argument of if you haven't traveled, you're just a unenlightened caveman is silly. And it's the one that's whipped out quite a lot. And again, I feel it's meant to drag down and demean people who can't travel or who just don't want to travel. Because not everyone who doesn't travel wants to. Some people just genuinely don't want to. They don't have that need. I've never had wanderlust, like the feeling people describe of needing to visit somewhere or go somewhere else. I've just never personally had that. Even though I absolutely love other cultures, literally learning about other cultures and languages as well. When I was like 13, I taught myself Japanese. I absolutely love that. I would love to even study that, to be honest. But it still doesn't translate to me wanting to travel, and that's okay. As usual with these episodes, I like them to be a discussion, not just me getting on my soapbox and ranting. So please comment and let me know your views on this topic. Do you enjoy traveling yourself? Do you not like traveling? Have you noticed this uptick in kind of Instagram performative traveling? I would love to know your views on this. As always, be respectful. But yeah, I'd love to know your views. They do not need to be the same as mine. I love discussing with you guys. That's what makes this as fun, is actually making this a discussion. A little footnote, just a couple of reasons why myself personally I'm not into traveling, and especially performative traveling. For me, there's way more negatives than positives to traveling, just to be able to put nice pictures on Instagram, to be honest. And I actually dislike the journey itself. So whether it's traveling by car, trains are the ones I mind the least, but still after like 3 hours I want to be off of that, or plane. I just find the whole process itself horrible. There's always freaking delays, no matter where you're going or what type of transport you're using. You have to sit next to random people and you don't know what they're going to be like. I always end up somehow, especially on the train, sitting next to someone blaring TikTok full volume with no headphones in when I'm trying to read a book. That always happens to me. Or a crying baby. I've had that happen as well for the whole journey. I really hate the journey itself, and especially if you're going somewhere long haul. I've only ever done one long haul flight in my life to Jamaica, and I love Jamaica. I want to go back, but I just can't do the long haul. My cut off, I think, is 3 hours for traveling, whether it's by car, train, whatever. After 3 hours, get me out of there. I don't want to go anywhere that's longer than 3 hours away. I just find it so draining. And especially on the way back, on the way there, you're quite excited. You're like, I can't wait for the holiday. On the way back, especially if you're not so keen on coming home or you've been having a really good time, it just makes it that much more painful. So I really hate the actual process of traveling itself. Also, for me, is the lack of routine. And again, this isn't going to be applicable to everyone. I do have Asperger's, but to be honest, I think it's just me. Maybe it is the Asperger's, but I think it's literally just me as a person. Hate the lack of routine on like a long holiday. I don't mind going away like 4 or 5 days. That's my max. But say if I went for 2 weeks, no matter how fun the place is, I would be staying in. I just like, no, I want my routine. I can't just wake up every day and be like, oh, we're just gonna go and eat. Oh, we're just gonna go to the beach. Like, I need my routine. Like, I just get restless. And again, my bed, even if the hotel is the most comfy bed, it's just not my bed. And my bed, I've got to such a point where it's perfect for me. I'm really fussy about the mattress. It can't be too soft, it can't be too firm. And I just really struggle to sleep when I go away, even if the beds are comfy. And I miss my bed so much. And the food, because I have quite sensitive digestion, so I have to be quite intentional with the sort of foods I eat. And that's why I prefer, if I do go away, I like self catering, because then at least I can bring my own food. But if I have to rely on hotel food, that's like my worst nightmare, especially when it's like a buffet and it's just all greasy slop. That is my absolute worst nightmare. Loved it as a kid, but as an adult, no. Similarly, I get bored slash tired after a few days. So I love going to the beach, but for me, I can do probably max 2 days at a beach before I'd get bored. I couldn't go on a week's holiday and every day just be on a sun lounger on the beach and then in the pool. That would be too boring for me. But on the flip side as well, if I had like a really busy holiday, so say like a city break, or you're going to see loads of museums, after 3, 4 days of that, it becomes exhausting just going from point A to B to C to D. And it all kind of starts melting into the same thing to me. So once I've been to a few museums, they all start to kind of feel and look the same. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but there's only so many monuments I can see before I'm like, you know what, I've seen enough. I don't really need to see anymore. And I'm just at the point in my life, because I'm 30 now, where the amount of money it costs to travel, just my personal priorities, I would rather just spend it on something else. And it'd be very different when I was like in my early 20s living at home. I would have had very different priorities, but now I'm more like, oh, I'd rather like, put that in an emergency fund or buy some furniture, because my house still 2 years on is not fully furnished because furniture is expensive. So I'm like, if I had the choice of spending 5, 6, 700 on a holiday, or being able to buy a sofa with that, or upgrade like my fridge or washing machine, I'm just at the point in my life, because I don't have loads of spare money. I'm like, I'd much rather that money go on something that improves my day-to-day life and that is permanent, rather than something temporary as a holiday. But as I said, that's my priorities. And some people, even if they're my age or they have a house, they'll be like, no, holidays give me and traveling gives me so much happiness. It's much more worth for me to spend £500 on a holiday than a new household appliance. And that's fine. That's totally valid. There's only a couple of countries theoretically I would love to visit, say Japan one day. Ever since I was little, just like, Japan looks so cool, but I just don't think I would actually do it because I don't want it enough to actually save up for and go and do it. It's just something like, if it ever somehow happened, yeah, it would be great, but I don't have that urge and want to actually go there. I'm going to end this here. Thank you so much for listening. Again, please let me know your thoughts in the comments, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, that's fine. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for listening.